Ladies and gentlemen, we're here.
I'm part of the Kliq, isn't everybody?
Yes! 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 I got an idea, yeah. Beat up John Cena!
Give me a hell yeah!
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
Too sweet! Here goes the mother! This is where the power lies!
I am the man.
We need if you can survive!
It's showtime, folks!
The following episode is scheduled for one fall, and it is for your listening pleasure. This is In The Kliq.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and joining me from the Bulletcast is my boy Philip. What's up, Philip?
Huey, what's going on, man?
What's wrong with your voice?
You know how Damascus sometimes takes over Matt Hardy, sometimes John F. Kennedy takes over me?
What? John F.
Yeah, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. That's very primary in this upcoming election.
Wow.
I'm just joking, man. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing good, man. Good to be talking to you again. It's been
Absolutely.
a minute.
It has. It's been like almost a week and a half, something like that.
Yeah.
I won back the Bulletcast championship. Just like my friend Chris Jericho is a 9-time Intercontinental champion. I'm a 9-time Bulletcast champion, bro.
Actually, is he technically like 10-time if you count the...
We're not going to count that one.
IWGP.
That one doesn't get credit.
Okay, all right. But, thank you everyone for tuning in to this week's episode of In The Kliq. As always, please remember to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for @In The Kliq. And remember, subscribe to us on YouTube as well. I'm doing my best to stay on top of things and get all of our highlights uploaded there, so you can kind of pick and choose what you want to listen to if you, for whatever reason, don't have time to listen to our full episodes via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, all that good stuff. And please remember to rate, comment, and share the podcast. I know Apple Podcasts has that section. I believe Spotify as well. So if you leave a comment, it helps us out so much, because that way when people are kind of looking for maybe a new wrestling podcast to listen to and they come across our show, people will read the comments and that'll give them more motivation to hit that subscribe button and listen to us on a regular basis. So thank you in advance for doing that. And so Phil, thank you for joining me once again. Sorry for the delay last week, Kliqsters, as far as our quote AEW specific reviews on this podcast. It's been a busy, as Phil, you just said, a week and a half between last weekend. Everything was happening last weekend. We had AEW Dynamite, a special edition on Saturday. We had TakeOver. We had SummerSlam. Impact Wrestling's been busy doing their Emergence stuff the last couple weeks on Access TV. A lot going on. So with the schedule all over the place and kind of a little bit different, I was so busy with just talking NXT TakeOver. It's SummerSlam. I just didn't have time to record for AEW Dynamite related stuff. So I was like, you know what? It's okay. I'll take the week off. I also made an appearance on Jimbo's podcast, The Wrestling War Room. And on that podcast, we talked a lot about AEW Dynamite. So in my head, I know mentally I talked about AEW Dynamite last week, the Saturday night edition. Unfortunately, it wasn't under, quote, the In The Kliq umbrella, our little network here, as you could say. But I did retweet that episode on In The Kliq's Twitter page if you want to listen to that. So making up for lost time now, Philip, you and I this week are going to talk about a Thursday night edition of AEW Dynamite, because the NBA playoffs, their schedule has been a little funky the last couple weeks, just being preempted and moved around. So that's why they were on last Saturday. They were on Thursday night this week, and they'll be back to normal next week on Wednesday night. And then I think they have one more off night, and I think after that they'll be completely back to normal again. So here we are. So since we didn't talk about last Saturday, Philip, let's just touch on last week's episode of Dynamite as far as the Saturday night edition. The big takeaway was the finish. The main event, we saw Cody Rhodes defending his TNT championship against Brody Lee, the leader of the Dark Order. And we saw Cody lose. There we go. The end of the first reign ever for the TNT championship. Cody lose, finally gained a loss in 2020, I believe. And it was to Brody Lee. And wow, what an episode it was. So Phil, what was your takeaways from that main event?
Well, first, this was actually Cody's second loss in 2020.
Second? Okay, good. Thank you.
He lost to MJF at the pay-per-view in February.
That's
back
right.
when fans were there.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, Cody didn't get a lick of offense in. Brody Lee won so decisively. And people on the internet were like, oh, I knew he was going to beat him. Like, shut up. No, you didn't. You didn't know it all.
Well,
stop lying.
Well, that's you can't trust the internet because we could talk about it now. I think like the week before, so that Saturday night edition of Dynamite was pre-taped, and on Reddit or something, someone said, oh my God, Cody lost the title to Brody Lee because Eric Rowan showed up and helped beat up Cody and help Brody Lee get the win. And it's like the Bludgeon brothers are now in Dynamite now, or AEW. And sure enough, that didn't happen. So you can't believe everything you say. There are trolls out there who are trying to, quote, put like their own spoilers out there and trying to just create a lot of madness when you don't need to believe all that. But yeah, man, as you said, crazy main event. Cody, as you said, didn't get any offense in. Brody Lee looked very dominant. I love this match. Just to see Brody Lee finally like really come out of his shell. And we know Brody Lee is very much capable of having a match where he's like going balls to the wall, big power moves, just a lot of big punches and kicks thrown. I love it. I mean, we saw elements of that when he was Luke Harper and part of the Wyatt family in WWE. And when he came, over here to AEW, he's had a variety of matches with like Moxley and whatnot. But listen, we know he's a big influence of Bruiser Brody. Hence, his name is Brody Lee. And I believe even his son is named Brody, if I remember correctly. But nonetheless, he's a big guy, very similar body type to Bruiser Brody. So I get a big kick out of someone who wrestles a very similar style to Bruiser Brody. And so I thought we got to see that in this match. I loved it. I loved the story that they're telling. It was like, Cody, let's be honest, especially in the last month, 4 to 6 weeks, he's been riding on this big high. He's been calling himself the Prince again, and he was getting kind of cocky, smiling, having a big entourage follow him to the ring, really kind of just celebrating this hot streak he's been on as the TNT champion. And for it to all be just taken away from him, come crashing down because of Brody Lee kicking his ass, and it was amazing.
This reminds me of a story told by Bob Backlund. Kind of go off on a little tangent, but it relates here.
Okay.
Backlund, back when he was a shoot wrestler, he got to a point where he was so cocky that he had a match with a guy and he got mollywopped and he lost. Mm-hmm. That's basically what happened here with Cody.
Cool.
Cody got pretty cocky. He got confident. He got complacent.
Yeah.
And then didn't get a lick of offense in. Brody Lee became the champion. And the beatdown after, that is the most badass the Dark Order has looked since their inception coming into AEW. I mean, they had to run in at Double or Nothing last year. It wasn't as effective as this.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I keep telling you guys, join darkorder.com.
Yes.
It's a revolution. It's a way of life. It's a movement, bro.
Absolutely. Like, finally, in the last month, specifically, yeah, Dark Order, Brody Lee collectively are finally looking very dominant. And I think they're at a place now where, like, not to break kayfabe, but I believe the Young Bucks, the Dark Order has been their baby project from a EVP standpoint. So I think where the Dark Order is now, I think that's probably where they envisioned this whole time. A little bit of a bumpy start. When they first debuted, a lot of people were kind of like, you see what, clapping and chanting, "Who are you?" when they first debuted.
Bro, at Double or Nothing, I didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there. I'm like, who is this? Who are these guys?
Unless you're like a big indie fan and know all the ins and outs of the indie scene and like who are the big wrestlers there. Yeah, I had no idea who they were. And yeah, I think initially they came off goofy looking, their look and some of the botch moves that they were doing, the punches that they were throwing. So very bumpy start, but I think once Brody Lee was a free agent, they were able to sign him, and I think able to put him as the leader. And they've been doing a lot of course correction over the last couple months. I think things have been much better now. And I believe even Matt Hardy said on Talk is Jericho, a lot of people suspected he was going to be the leader of Dark Order, and he revealed that he was going to be, but then they changed it up and made Brody Lee. And I think actually Brody Lee now, it was a good move. I like Matt Hardy kind of being like a lone wolf, doing his own thing, occasionally helping out the Elite. I like where Matt Hardy's doing, and we'll get into that separately, what he's been doing on Dynamite this week. But Brody Lee, I was like, finally, he's like this intimidating figure. And we'll get into the segment from this week's episode, really solidified that. But dude, that finish, the beatdown, Cody's being taken on the stretcher. They grab the stretcher, rip him off the stretcher, beat him up some more. Like Team Cody comes out, was the Natural Nightmares. QT Marshall, Dustin Rhodes comes out trying to help out. They start getting beaten down. Oh no, I'm sorry, take that back. You're wondering, where are they? Because Cody's getting beaten up and no one's coming out to make the save. Sure enough, the Dark Order drags out Dustin and QT Marshall. And it's like, that explains it. Like, his family's been beaten up backstage. Brandy comes out. Anna Jay chokes her out. And that powerful image at the end where Cody's laying there and he's holding Brandy's hand. I love that. That was like very powerful. Like, even though they're beaten down, they're there for each other.
Yeah, I mean, Brandy, she could have fought off that chokehold, but earlier on in the night, she put on a classic in the finals of the AEW Women's Tag Team Cup.
Yeah, and so,
yeah, absolutely.
And so I was just gonna say, my one thing, and this is something I think we kind of predicted last time we chatted. The Elite didn't come out to help Cody. Where were they? So maybe that's kind of a little bit foreshadowing. If Cody does have motivation to go heel, he can say, listen, I've done everything for the Elite, and you guys, when I'm at, like, getting my ass kicked, no one came out to save me. And so maybe he wants to find a new group of guys to surround himself with and have a new team. Hence, maybe this new formation of a new era of a 4 horsemen that people rumored that's coming to AEW. And we'll kind of get into that based on what we saw on this week's episode of Dynamite. Also, real quick, on last week's episode, very cool, FTR was wrestling. Tully Blanchard looks like it's their manager now. Had that nice satin jacket that had said FTR on it. So it looks like that's FTR's expanding his roster of guys that he's representing via manager. Sean Spears and now FTR. So who knows? You need one more person for a quote 4 horsemen, and maybe Cody could be the one. So we'll see how this plays out. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into this week's episode of Dynamite. It was on Thursday night, which actually was kind of nice, Philip. I don't know about you. Listen, on In The Kliq, we try our best to talk about all the major wrestling shows week to week on television between Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, NXT, and Impact Wrestling. And we know Raw's on Mondays, Impact's on Tuesdays, NXT and AEW normally on Wednesdays, but last week, or this week I should say, NXT was on a Wednesday and SmackDown on Friday. It was nice having Dynamite on Thursday. So it was just nice every night this week. There was a wrestling show. There was nothing overlapping or competing with one another. So it was just nice to focus on one show a night. Just take my time to watch it. So I don't know about you, but it was just nice having it on a Thursday. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, no. I enjoyed it. NXT, they had me on Wednesday night. I normally watch AEW over, obviously, but they had my full attention. But I mean, it was fun, man. It really was. I enjoyed it on a Thursday. I kind of forgot it was on. I'm like, oh wait, Dynamite's on.
Yeah.
And I caught the tail end of it. I had to rewatch a lot of it, but
yeah.
Overall, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's the thing. This show, I thought Saturday night's episode and this week was both a lot of fun, and it's cool because here we are. We're on the road to All Out. All Out is next Saturday, September 5th, Labor Day weekend on pay-per-view. So you and I are both looking forward to that. We'll watch it. We'll do a review for that as well. So here we are. These are the shows building up to that big pay-per-view. Would you say All Out is their biggest pay-per-view of the year, or Double or Nothing is?
People might say All Out because it's synonymous with All In, and that's the kind of what started this.
Yeah.
I'd go Double or Nothing. It's the first show.
Yeah, first show, and that's kind of like near WrestleMania weekend as far as the early part of the year. All Out, their version of SummerSlam, if you want to make that type of comparison.
Yeah, I'd say that. I'd say Revolution is kind of like their, if they do it again, kind of like their Rumble, so to speak, in full gear. Since it's in November, it could be like their Survivor Series. So, and they have a nice amount of shows.
Yeah, I was going to say also maybe, I know they didn't get to, they want to do Blood and Guts, their version of like a War Games type match, and maybe they'll save it on the back burner and bring it back again, maybe in the fall, maybe around like a Survivor Series type month or something like that in November. I think that'd be kind of cool. But yeah, so Thursday night, it was nice, like I said, to tune in. Overall, very fun show. So let's just talk about just the first thing that was different on this episode was the fact that fans were in attendance. And this is something we talked about, one of the episodes a couple weeks ago or a week ago was it was announced AEW was going to allow fans in attendance at Daly's Place in Jacksonville. That's where the AEW's been hosting Dynamite in Florida. It's right next to, it's like an amphitheater right next to the football stadium where the Jacksonville Jaguars play. So that's been their home base this whole time during this pandemic. And they really lucked out as far as, let's keep in mind, WWE, they've had the benefit of using the Performance Center this whole time before the Thunderdome thing launched up. So they had a home base to use as their TV studio to set up the ring and have all these matches every week on television, also host their pay-per-views. So Dynamite, a lot of people were like, where are they going to go? But luckily they had Daly's Place to host them for the most part. I know for like a month, they had some shows over in Atlanta, Georgia, I think at QT Marshall's Wrestling School. That was a nice little change of scenery, I thought, back then during this pandemic era. But for the most part, they've been doing all their stuff at Daly's Place. So I thought it was cool. They lucked out. I mean, I know a lot of places haven't been able to put on shows or they don't have a facility to work with. So AEW's been very lucky that Daly's Place has been at their disposal. But so it was announced that they're going to allow fans in 10%. So I think Daly's Place holds, Philip, do you know, I think it's like 5,000.
I know it looks like it's way more than 5,000.
I believe they let like 500 people in. So I think
it made a difference, man. It really did. Like it felt like Dynamite, and with our buddy Le Champion coming out to do commentary and them serenading him, I'm like, dude, I miss that so much. I was feeding off of it, to kind of get that feeling of a live crowd again. I miss it so much.
Absolutely.
It was great, man. You could see it on Jericho's face. He was like, finally they're back. You can kind of see it on everybody's face. There was a little bit more oomph in these matches, in these segments on Dynamite, because they had to please the people in attendance. Yeah,
so the wrestling fans that were allowed in, they all were social distancing as far as seats spread apart. They all required to wear masks. There was a lot of posts on Twitter and stuff of all the different signs posted. It's like, if you're coming in, you got to wear, I think they get a temperature check. I think they had to, the seats were spread out and spaced out, and they had tape on seats that were not being used. And then, if I remember correctly, they all had to wear masks, follow the rules. And actually, a coworker of mine, his cousin, who lives in Florida, took his daughter to the show. And he showed me some of the photos that his cousin sent him. So I don't know if you remember, at one point in the show, there was a guy who held up a sign that said, "Le Mimoso," or
I remember that. Was that him?
That was him. So that's my coworker, my friend. That's his cousin, and that was the little girl was his daughter. So,
that's
but yeah,
awesome.
like Les Champions play on the words because he's got the mimosa match with Orange Cats. So Les Mimosian, or wherever the word was, and Jericho says, "I hate that guy."
Les Mimosian or something like that.
So that's my coworker's cousin. So that was very cool. He got on TV because when my coworker told me, he's like, "I totally remember seeing that guy." So. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed the fans, seeing them in attendance, especially the beginning of the show. The camera crew focused on them to show that, hey, people were in attendance. And I think for AEW, it was a big moment for them, just as far as trying to go back to some form of normal times again. And listen, I know there's a big debate if fans should or should not be allowed in a place like that. I mean, with the pandemic going on. Philip, you and I are not going to get into that right now. We can say that for another time. But it's the state of Florida. The rules there are a little bit more lighter than other states. But just seeing Chris Jericho come out, and I know he's a bad guy. He's a heel right now. But nonetheless, for them to sing along to his theme song, Judas, Fozzy songs, Judas, and Chris Jericho, he was smiling ear to ear, and you could tell he was just eating it all up, and he was playing towards the crowd. They were singing along. It just made for a very feel-good moment, and that's very cool to see. We need that right now during this whole pandemic era. 2020 has been a tough year, man, for multiple reasons now, just between, the pandemic, the fires, just celebrities that we love who've been passing away. It's just 2020 has been a really tough year. And so for that one moment, just to see fans and attendants singing along together, having fun, Chris Jericho smiling, everyone cheering, it just was such a great moment. And so very happy to see that. And then, Chris Jericho joined on commentary once again with Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone. Excalibur, I don't know where he's been. This is the 5th week now. He hasn't been on TV. I mean, Jim Ross earlier in the day tweeted out a photo of them rehearsing, and it was him, Schiavone, I think someone else in the background, but Excalibur was sitting there. So I think a lot of people thought Excalibur was returning. He's still not there, man. Is he that much trouble that they're keeping him off TV?
Well, when you say the N word, whether it's the GA or the hard R, yeah.
Yeah. No, I get that.
I said my piece on it when we talked about it back then.
Yeah, I know. And so it's just very interesting just with that whole situation. I'm really curious how it's going to play out, and we'll see what happens if Excalibur ever comes back. At the time right now, it's a big question mark still. So, but hey, nonetheless, having Le Champion, or excuse me, I should say the Demo God as well. Even in 1 year, he's had multiple names under the AEW umbrella. So
the Reverend of Reinvention. You have to love it.
And so, first match of the night was the tag team gauntlet match, where it was the top 4 teams ranking wise going at it, and the winner will get a title shot at All Out. So, the first match was the number 4 and number 3 contenders, so Natural Nightmares taking on the Young Bucks. The winner of that match was going to take on Best Friends, and the winner of that match would take on FTR. So, here we are, Natural Nightmares, QT Marshall, Dustin Rhodes out there taking on the Young Bucks. And, decent match, but the big takeaway from that was we see Hangman Adam Page come out and held down, I believe it was Nick Jackson, preventing him from doing their Meltzer bomb or Meltzer driver, is that what it's called?
Something like that, or I thought he hit one of the Best Friends and caused a DQ or something.
No, but Hangman Adam Page held down one of the Young Bucks, and so they couldn't, oh my God, am I spacing? Oh no, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm totally screwing up here. I'm jumping ahead. So Natural Nightmares versus the Young Bucks. Young Bucks win, and then Best Friends comes out and takes on Young Bucks. That's when Hangman comes out, prevents Young Bucks from doing their finisher, and Best Friends get the victory. So we see Hangman Adam Page. He interferes. He costs them the match, but then he walks away and he looks very disappointed. Like he was ashamed of himself for doing this, and he walks out through the crowd. The Young Bucks are pissed off, yelling at him, like, "What are you doing?" And so it kind of creates this big question mark, like, what the hell's going on here? And we'll go into more detail about that later on with the follow-up segment that they had. But we saw FTR come out, take on Best Friends. FTR gets the victory. They're going to go on, take on Heyman, Adam Page versus Kenny Omega for the AEW tag titles at All Out. So what was your thoughts on just FTR winning this whole gauntlet match and getting a title shot now?
I'm glad an actual tag team. I'm glad some wrestlers getting opportunities at them tag team titles.
Absolutely.
I like it, man. I do. You know, it's going to be different. I think FTR will win the tag championships.
Yeah, I think so too. And like we'll save more of our discussion of Kenny Omega and Hangman Page later on in the show. But yeah, FTR gets a victory here, and I'm kind of glad because a lot of people thought, whoa, are we going to get see FTR versus Young Bucks on Dynamite this week? Like the matchup that we've been waiting for years to see? Are they going to give it away on free TV? No, they didn't. Thank God. That type of match should be saved for a future pay-per-view, which I think we'll get down the road. But nonetheless, so yeah, Young Bucks were eliminated before FTR could come out, and so FTR eventually gets a victory. And yeah, man, early predictions here. I think FTR is walking out All Out with the championship. So next up, we see a quick little video package. Darby Allin, black and white video, jumps up on walks up or climbs his way up to the top of a railroad bridge, jumps straight into the water, and he's just calling out Ricky Starks saying he's not afraid. I was just like, oh my God, that video package, just like seeing him jump, and I hope he didn't break his legs or anything jumping into the water. So anyway, it was a pretty cool video seeing that. He shows he's a real true daredevil. Next up, we see Lance Archer come out to the ring with Jake the Snake Roberts taking on Sean Maluda, which I think he's
a part of the Hawaii wrestling family.
Yeah.
So if you look at it, man, WWE, MLW, AEW, they're all over the place.
Yeah, totally. And he, I know he's done some stuff with NXT recently as well. So very cool. He's getting, looks like an opportunity with AEW. Fortunately, kind of a squash match. Lance Archer gets the big victory. But then we see Team Taz come out to the ring, which is Taz along with his two clients, Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. And Philip, I don't know about you, man. This segment was really messy. It was just...
Dude, I didn't even pay attention to what Taz said. After Archer said, everybody dies, I just started laughing.
Yeah, it was just... I mean, Jake the Snake Roberts, I think, was trying to do his thing. You know, he's good on the mic. He's trying to cut some... But it was just all over the place. And Lance Archer was, like, trying to look mean. But Brian Cage... I was kind of confused, like, what's going on? It's like, I don't know if this was rehearsed at all. It looked like it wasn't. But I'm interpreting that. Are we going to see Lance Archer versus Brian Cage at some point for the FTW championship? That's
all
what,
out.
yeah.
Or, Cage just had a personal championship made. Maybe he defends that too.
That's the only thing I'm thinking. Like, this, as messy and incoherent this whole segment was, I think the main takeaway was, okay, it looks like Brian Cage, Lance Archer are going to fight each other at some point, even though they're both kind of heels right now. That doesn't really make sense, but they are the two big badasses that AEW recently signed, monsters. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope maybe Lance Archer maybe gets a victory, gets that title and defends it for a bit, and if Brian Cage might get it back. I don't know. But anyway, very messy. No reason to really go super in depth on that one. And then next up, another video package that I really enjoyed. I was super excited for. So we see the contract signing for the AEW Women's Championship match at All Out. The champion, Sheeta, and Thunder Rosa, who is the NWA Women's Champion. So we see them staring each other down. They sign the contract. And they're both going to go at it with champion versus champion at All Out. So, Philip, just your thoughts on this video segment, but just also how cool is it to see NWA and AEW look like they're working together, and we're going to see a champion versus champion match at All Out.
Dude, I'm happy, man. NWA starting to pick up steam. I know there's a big indie event that's going on right now, and I know Nick Aldis is defending the NWA World Title. But this is good, man. I was very vocal when they started this women's tag team, whatever. To like get the women that are in the NWA that can really wrestle, and Thunder Rosa is one of them. I mean, she's from out here, so that's town business. Shout out Thunder Rosa.
Yeah. So
I'm really looking forward to it, man.
Yeah.
And the question is, will TK pull the trigger and put the title on her?
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Like, if you had to ask right now, I think Sheeta would retain, but Thunder Rosa will look badass even in defeat. And as far as AEW and NWA working together, I think that's awesome. We saw also in that video package Billy Corgan's voice, who, I mean, I love Billy Corgan. I'm a huge fan of the Smashing Pumpkins, but he's also the owner of the NWA, and he said that he's very excited to see AEW and NWA working together. So I think that's just really cool that they have an agreement right now to AEW can use NWA talent. I mean, we saw it just recently between Ricky Starks, who came from the NWA, Eddie Kingston, and we see some other guys from NWA making an appearance there. So I think it's cool because, and we talked about this before, NWA Power, we love the show, great throwback to old school studio wrestling. But Billy Corgan said because of this pandemic, the fans play such a big part of the studio version of the wrestling show that they like to put on. And because of the pandemic and they can't have crowds in attendance, they can't do the show right now. So that's why it's been a hiatus this whole time. And who knows when they'll return at some point. I mean, it just depends how the pandemic turns out and how soon the pandemic is over, which, by the way, friendly reminder, wear your mask, or Philip, please tell the people.
Wear your mask, wash your hands, wash your ass.
Exactly. Do that. That way the pandemic can end, and that way NWA power can return. Please. That's the connection I'm trying to make here. But nonetheless, unfortunately, the NWA roster, they've been sitting at home, not doing anything. I'm sure a lot of them are not making any money. I don't know what they're doing to get by. So if they're able to make appearances in AEW, hopefully get a nice little payday to get by, I think that's awesome. And then also, it's just cool that we see promotions working together. So that way we get these all-star type moments, these fantasy matchups in AEW. And we know NWA, they have been working on and off with Ring of Honor. So I'm just putting it out there. How cool would it be down the road? Maybe AEW, NWA, Ring of Honor, maybe all three of them work together at some point. We know Marty Scurll is like the head booker now for Ring of Honor, and obviously he's friends with the guys in the Elite. Maybe down the road they can work together at some point. So I think it'd be awesome down the road. Maybe we have like a big super show, all these promotions working together, putting on a badass show with these like fantasy dream matches coming together. I don't know. But nonetheless, very cool that Thunder Rosa is having an opportunity to go out there and represent the NWA and the Women's Championship in a match against Shida at All Out. And early prediction, I think Shida's probably going to retain. But then again, it would be kind of cool. Here we are. The latest fad right now in wrestling is 2 belts. So maybe Thunder Rosa can walk out with both the AEW Women's and NWA Women's Championships. That'd be kind of cool. But I wonder if this might be a one-off. I don't know. We shall wait and see. But anyway, super excited for that matchup. And then, let's see, we get the big contract signing for the AEW World Championship between Jon Moxley, MJF. I think, I don't know about you, Philip, but I'm so conditioned to WWE style of, quote, contract signings in the ring. I figured it was going to turn into a brawl. We didn't see that. Very different type of contract signing, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. How about you?
The best part of this was MJF's line, "Tell the hot little wife of yours I'm single." Great way to capitalize on Renee Young leaving WWE by throwing that out there just a few days after.
Yeah, I wonder, because now that Renee Young is a free agent, or I'm not saying free agent, but she left WWE, I wonder if AEW will throw out more Jon Moxley wife jokes now that she's, not tied to WWE, so maybe they'll take more jabs at Jon Moxley now.
I wouldn't be opposed to her becoming a character on the show. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah, like I don't know if she wants to keep working in wrestling. I think, and we talked about this before, I think she would be great at, sports, ESPN, Sports Center, FS1, Fox Sports, something like that. I think that's her calling, maybe something entertainment. But then again, if she loves wrestling, I'm sure they'll make it work for AEW. But nonetheless, yeah, maybe she could become maybe a character at one point for Jon Moxley. I think that'd be awesome. But yeah, I really enjoyed this contract signing. While I did think MJF was kind of rambling on a little too long, I still enjoyed what he said. And then once Moxley was able to rebut, and his response back was so good. I loved it. The back and forth between them, like the second half of this, I thought it was so good. Awesome. And then I loved the little twist at the end where Moxley was able to get one over. He added an extra page to the contract, signed it. And the stipulation is he gets to wrestle MJF's lawyer next week on Dynamite. And if the lawyer does not wrestle him, MJF does not get his title shot. So obviously we're going to see that tune-up match next week. So very cool. Looking forward to that.
I mean, Mark Sterling, he's a great lawyer. He helped me with the contract for the Bullet Cast in the bank. But I mean, the man's not a wrestler. So Jon Moxley, you're a heinous human being.
Yes.
The whole point of this is to get Maxwell to the championship.
Yep. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to how that match is going to play out now with now the paradigm shift is not going to be allowed. So that's going to be an interesting factor for that. But anyway, it's I'm looking forward to it. And, not to break kayfabe, but Mark Sterling is a pro wrestler. For anyone who follows Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins, or excuse me, Matt Cardona, Brian Myers, their major wrestling figure podcast. Mark is a friend of theirs who's on there regularly. If you check out their YouTube channel, you see him in those videos all the time. So it's cool. He's doing some work with AEW right now. So, but no, I love this segment. And I put this on Twitter that night when I was live tweeting. I was surprised no tables were harmed in the process. Normally we're so used to like someone going through a table in WWE. It was just nice that they had their verbal jabs and then they signed the contract and moved on.
Bro, it's like Taz said, we don't run a sloppy shop.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So very cool segment there. And then we saw another video package, a lot of video package on this show. Santana Ortiz just told best friends it's time to pay their due. So their matchup is coming, them squaring off. So I hope Santana Ortiz get the victory. They need it. I think you got to really start building them up as a big threat in the tag team division. I would like to see them eventually get a title shot at some point. I mean, we love them as LAX and TNA or Impact Wrestling. So I think they are due for some big things in AEW as a tag team. And then we saw, 8-man tag match. Saw the Lucha Brothers, the Butcher and the Blade, along with Eddie Kingston coming out with them as, I guess, like their manager. So, taking on Joey Janela, Sonny Kiss, Brian Pillman Jr., and Griff Garrison, who Griff Garrison to me looks like a young version of Edge meets Chris Jericho fused together. Like, that's what he looks like to me. But anyway, Philip, your thoughts on this match?
Dude, I thought Teddy Long loved 6, 8, 10-man tag matches. Tony Khan, I wonder if he just goes in the locker room and is like, you are going to be the 8-man tag team match player. I wonder if he just does that. Like, Jesus Christ. That's my one qualm with the Dynamite. All these random-ass 6, 8, 10-man tag matches. Like, for what? For what?
Yeah.
Like, can't Eddie Kingston manage the Lucha Bros on their own and then come out later on in the night and manage Butcher and the Blade? Kind of like Bobby Heenan. You saw him in, like, 3 or 4 different matches. They didn't all come together.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
I hear you. It's interesting. Yeah. There's a great video on YouTube. This guy, I forgot his name. I recently found this guy's YouTube channel, but he kind of breaks down like things that are wrong in pro wrestling. And he does a lot of fantasy booking type YouTube videos. But this one, the latest one he did is why he hates AEW. And he doesn't like hate it. Seriously, he was just explaining what he thinks is wrong with AEW, and one thing he says he loves AEW, he's a big fan of it, but the one issue is there's so many factions in AEW. It's like there's no one just having a legit just solo run or singles push. They all got to be part of some other bigger team. So, but anyway, yeah, these odd pairing of the Butcher and the Blade and Lucha Brothers coming together, they get the victory over the other 4 guys. And yeah, Eddie Kingston grabs the mic afterwards and says, one of us between the 5 of them is going to win the Casino Battle Royale at All Out. So they're having a Battle Royale, which we thought we see that. Was that a double or no? Oh, no, we saw one. Was that All In? Did All In have one?
Double or Nothing had the ladder match where Brian Cage debuted.
Yes.
Yeah, they normally have a Battle Royale like quite a bit.
But the
on
winner,
their pay-per-views.
But they said the winner was going to get a title shot. So I was like, wow, pretty big stakes there. But they said, so it's going to be 20 or 21 people in it. And they said one of them, out of the 5 of them is going to win. So they're laying it out there. They're putting the challenge out there that one of them is going to win. So I don't know. I mean, I would love to know who the full roster is. We probably won't learn that because I want to keep some surprises. I would not be surprised, and I'm hoping that we can see some members of the NWA make appearance in that Battle Royal. Maybe, I don't know if Nick Aldis would do it. I mean, he's already a champion, so he probably wouldn't do it. But maybe, I don't know, maybe James Storm or Aaron Stevens or
Eli Drake. Dummy, yeah.
I would love that. I would pop so hard Eli Drake made an appearance. So, yeah, or Zicky Dice. Zicky Dice, if he was in the Battle Royal. Dude, that would be awesome. Which, by the way, I think, God, whose Instagram it was, but it looks like the other day, Zicky and Levi Shapiro were working out together in a ring. So maybe Zicky's doing some practicing. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I'm just throwing it out there. So maybe it'd be cool. Maybe both of them make an appearance. I don't know. But anyway, it'd be cool to get some people in the NWA to appear in that Battle Royale. I think that'd be very cool. But yeah, I don't know who else. I'm trying to think who else would win it. I don't know. I said hopefully maybe they'll release the full roster and we can kind of break it down. And then Next up, we saw the newly crowned TNT champion, the Exalted One, Mr. Brody Lee, along with the rest of his Dark Order, come out to the ring to celebrate their victory last week, or excuse me, his victory last week. We saw the Dark Order come out with the casket, and we saw number 10, or AKA Preston Vance, pop out with the neck tattoo like Cody, and they were laughing like, ha, we defeated Cody, we killed him off or whatever, and they put the Nightmare Family flag over the casket. They're celebrating. We see Brody Lee come out to the ring, grabs Tony Schiavone, cuts an amazing promo I totally dug. How about you? What'd you think of this whole segment of their celebration?
Yeah, this was the funeral of my smoking buddy Cody Rhodes. Brody Lee, he kind of dropped all the Vince BS. The suit looked nice. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a fan of the green stripes or whatever was going on there. The TNT title looked very nice with them. I'm not gonna lie. I like it. Anna J. Yowzers. All in all, I thought it was fun. I thought this was good fun. Brody Lee cutting a very nice promo. He had a little more amp because he was in front of the fans, in front of the people. And I thought this was good, man.
I laughed so hard when he said, we're not going to have an open challenge week to week like Cody did. Sorry to all you indie wrestlers out there. You're not going to get a shot at this. I thought that was kind of cool, kind of poking fun at independent wrestlers. You know what I mean? Like, none of you're not going to get no special surprises with me or no opportunities.
I'm not going to wrestle the Griff Garrisons of the world.
Yeah. So I loved it, but just Brody Lee's energy, just really solidifying him as just a badass heel and just, total a-hole. And he was slapped one of his guys in the corner who was trying to celebrate with him. And he told the rest of the crew, pick up this little S here. So I thought it was just so funny. Unfortunately, I don't watch Being the Elite on a regular basis, but apparently some of that comedic stuff in the ring, it's a playoff what they do on Being the Elite every week. So makes me like, maybe I should be watching that stuff or not.
I'm going to be honest with you, bro. Being the Elite fell off.
Really? How so?
Like when they were in Ring of Honor in Japan, I watched that thing every week. I was entertained thoroughly. I haven't watched in months, but I mean, like it kind of fell off. I'm not gonna lie.
Why is that? Is it just because the quality, or
no? The quality's good. That's their baby. It's just like it's not as entertaining as it once was to me. Mm-hmm. With like SCU doing their bit every week, Marty Jannetty. Not Marty Jannetty.
What? Like Marty Jannetty? That's why it's going bad.
He made somebody disappear on that show. No.
Wow.
Marty Scurll just like cussing in his British accent. All this stuff was great.
Yeah.
But I'll have to check it out. We'll do a status report next week.
Yeah. So, and then next up we saw Hangman Adam Page backstage in a bar type area. He's about to be interviewed. Kind of the reporter Dasha was asking to explain his actions, and then we see the Young Bucks come storming into the room, and they're just yelling at him. It's like, dude, what's wrong with you? Why'd you do that? Blah blah blah. Hangman Adam Page couldn't get a word out. He looked super sad. He was like looking away from them, like he was embarrassed, ashamed of himself. And then sure enough, Matt Jackson said, "You're out of the Elite." And they walked out, slammed the door, and the glass shattered, and you see Hangman Adam Page staring at this mirror with a shattered mirror in front of him. So definitely spoke volumes there, the imagery there. Man, just, your thoughts on this whole thing.
Hey, man, when the glass broke, I thought Austin was coming out. I'm not going to lie to you.
There you go.
I know why Hangman did this. He didn't want to fight his friends. Despite all the problems those guys have been having, those are his brothers in arms. He didn't want to fight his friends, so he cost them an opportunity. And then him getting kicked out of the league, that kind of hurt my heart. I'm like, come on, hey, guys. Like, I wanted to jump through the screen and be like, Matt, Nick, hold on, guys. Hold on a second. Let's all sit down. Let Dr. Phil help you.
Dr. Phil. I like that. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
So, okay. Let's try to just guess of why Hangman did what he did early in the night. Why do you think he cost the Young Bucks the match and potentially a title shot against him and Kenny Omega to All Out? Like, what? Please try to explain his actions.
I really just think he didn't want to fight his friends. I really think that's what. Like, they did it already at Revolution, and like maybe he just didn't want to do it again.
True. Okay. Maybe I'm also thinking maybe Kenny Omega put him up to it somehow. Maybe like we don't see Kenny Omega behind the scenes. Maybe Kenny Omega is turning heel, and maybe he's holding something over Hangman's head, and like he's like almost, what's the word, bribing him or forcing him to do this, to do his dirty work. And maybe we'll get the big reveal down the road. Hopefully, maybe it all out that maybe Kenny Omega is the bad guy. I don't know. Maybe, Hangman's becoming friends with FTR. Maybe FTR put him up to it somehow. Maybe they know something on him, some dirt on him, and they made him to do it, told him to do it, or they were going to out him. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, it's like a mystery.
Hey, everybody's got a price.
True. That's true as well.
His happens to be cheap whiskey.
Yeah, exactly. So we can speculate, his motivation for all of this, but I wouldn't be surprised at All Out. FTR wins the tag titles, and Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, while in defeat, they get upset and they explode right there and break up, and maybe we'll see Kenny Omega turn heel. I think whatever happens, if Kenny turns heel and get the cleaner 2.0, Hangman will become such a huge baby face. So I don't know, like, it's really interesting. And so I'm trying to figure out, like, why Hangman did this, and hopefully get our answer sooner or later, specifically at All Out. So next up, and we'll go through this super quick. So handicap match, Big Swole taking on Dr. Britt Baker, but she didn't really wrestle. She just sat in her wheelchair the whole time, against Penelope Ford, who's now like a new friend in Britt Baker's new faction, another faction. So Penelope Ford is now part of her group, and Rebel. So it was 3-on-1, but really it was more Penelope Ford and Rebel taking on Big Swole. Dude, like I said, we won't spend too much time. Very botchy match, terrible, no pace, the bad pacing, all that stuff. When
things like this happen that we talk about on the Bullet Cast, nobody got hurt. That's all we can ask for. It's time to move on.
Dude, someone almost got hurt. So like in the beginning, like right before the bell start, I think Penelope Ford botched one move already. Rebel, I get it. Rebel, we know she's an actual wrestler. She was in TNA. She's done indie work. I think the point of this current character is she's supposed to be like, quote, rusty or inexperienced. That's why her whole performance is just so bad. But,
lovely gear, though.
Oh, totally.
New gear.
Dude, the gear was awesome.
And I will say this, Penelope Ford, when you're done playing around with Kip Sabian, my number is 510-517. You have to DM me for the rest.
There you go. I know. So, yeah, huge fans of Rebel Penelope Ford over here on In The Kliq. So, but yeah, Big Swole eventually got the victory. So, I'm sure we'll see them, Britt Baker and Big Swole, go at eventually at some point. So, anyway, moving on. Also, we see the Dark Order come back out. And Anna Jay led this crew out, and they looks like they recruited Tay Conti, who was sitting ringside. They offered her like an envelope, and Tay Conti was a little hesitant, but she took it, gave Anna Jay a big hug because they were tag partners in the tournament. And it looks like Dark Order has another female competitor in their group. I'm already just thinking, dude, the Dark Order is getting so big, it's like NWO 2000 status as far as the number of people. Right? I mean, come on. It's getting so big now.
Hey, I'm telling you, bro. They do it all out. I can't wait for AEW sold out.
Yes. Well, Anna Jay, she's already number 99. That's what Brody Lee called her. So does that mean he's trying to get like 100 people in the Dark Order?
I'm not going to say that I have a number, but I do.
I knew you guys.
Yes. Well, if MJF wins the title, ladies and gentlemen, Baby Huey's going to go to joindarkorder.com.
Wow. But anyway, so we saw that, and then we saw the main event, which was a tables match, taking on Matt Hardy taking on Sammy Guevara, and we've been seeing this rivalry brew up for a while now. I mean, it really took shape as far as the build up with Double or Nothing with the Elite and Matt Hardy taking on the Inner Circle. And then, going back, we saw Matt Hardy and Kenny Omega run over Sammy Guevara in the golf cart. Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara had their moments in the Stadium Stampede match. And then it was, carrying over on the Fallout episode of Dynamite. But then we know Guevara was suspended for a bit, so it got put on hold. And then once he came back, they reignited the rivalry, and the two of them went at it this night. Which I was kind of surprised they had this match on Dynamite, and I thought it was going to be saved for All Out, especially a tables match. But I was really surprised they had it on Dynamite. Maybe they'll have a rematch at All Out. But yeah, your thoughts on this table match for the main event?
Well, first off, I have to say this: Sammy Guevara has one of the best theme songs in the company. Yeah, man. The spot, wherever Sammy got busted open, I'm like, ooh, Jesus. And then, Sammy's laying on the table on the outside. Matt goes to elbow drop him from the apron. He misses, goes to the table. Then he pulls out the one that says deleted, pulls out that table. And the chair sitting upright underneath the table. I'm like, oh, my God. And then Matt, I like how they explained it well. Matt's still a little loopy from the head. The chair shot to the head, nice continuity there by AEW. Mm-hmm. Like I said, they don't run a sloppy shop. But yeah, just standard superplex to in the tables match, and Matt landed on the. Oh God, that had to hurt, man. I know he's been taking these bumps for 20 years. Yeah, but fun fact, TLC 1 was 20 years ago this past Thursday.
I know, dude. I saw that. I'm like, man, I feel old. And then, that was SummerSlam. I think that's a lot. TLC, before it became
SummerSlam 2000.
Yeah, before it became a pay-per-view, or before, I think, didn't they have some at WrestleMania as well in the past? They
had the second one at X7.
Yes. So, but yeah, originally it was a SummerSlam event. So, very, very good knowledge right there from your part, Philip. Thank you for that.
I learned from Tommy, bro. Telling you.
So, but no, this match, I like the concept, which was to win, you have to put your opponent through the table. So there was a couple moments, each of them would fall through the table, but the other guy moved out of the way. And so I thought that was cool, as far as oh my God, here he comes. And then he falls through the table. Oh, the other guy jumped out of the way. So it was Matt Hardy took a table spot by himself. That was painful to watch. And, Sammy Guevara got that big gash on the side of his head. He was bleeding. I was like, oh no. I mean, that was probably a receipt right there for, what Sammy Guevara did to Matt Hardy a couple weeks ago, throwing the chair at his head, cut him open, hard way. But man, just entertaining match. It was a little short. I felt it was a little rushed because just the amount of time they had left in the show. Because this was an action-packed episode of Dynamite, but it's still very fun. So we saw, played out. Sammy Guevara with the victory, took the blood, he licked the rope. I was like, I don't know, that's very sanitary right now with this whole pandemic going on.
Yeah, that's not safe. That's not safe.
But nonetheless, Sammy Guevara got the victory. I don't know if this rivalry is now done now. Would they move on, or do they have a rematch at All Out? Maybe something on the pre-show? I don't know. The buy-in show, I guess I should say. It'd be interesting, but no, very entertaining. And then when we thought it was completely done, Orange Cassidy's music hits. He comes running out, charges the broadcast booth, starts beating up Chris Jericho, takes him out, and I mean, obviously, it's building up to their Mimosa Mayhem?
Mimosa Mayhem, which is actually they lucked into that with the bubbly and the orange juice. It all just makes sense.
Yeah,
they do the same thing all the time. It's really starting to get annoying.
Of what?
1 week the Inner Circle beats up Orange Cassidy. The next week it comes out guns blazing against Jericho. It's flippy floppy. Next week, can we do something different, guys? Can we do something different, please? That's all I ask. Jericho, I love you, bro, but you need to do something different.
Yeah. So. Next week's episode's going to be interesting. One, I mean, they're back to Wednesday night, but it's the go-home show for All Out. So it's going to be interesting how this plays out. Maybe, Philip, I'm just thinking out loud. Maybe you and I can try to get episode out quickly that week, kind of also have our predictions for that, get that out as well. And then, we'll watch All Out next Saturday on pay-per-view. And
do you want to get in on the Bulletcast predictions, too?
For, are you doing one for All Out?
Hey, man, it's a big pay-per-view. I'm putting the title back on the line, dude.
Wow. I got to get that bad boy back. Dude, my SummerSlam picks were so bad because I was trying to think outside the box. I mean, I know I didn't explain in detail in my text to you, but I was trying to think outside the box but SummerSlam, I love the booking for SummerSlam this year. I thought all the matches and the outcomes were perfect and I think were the best solutions for a lot of the finishes that they had. But anyway, okay. I'll do it. I'll do the predictions. I gotta get my title back, but I have a couple titles as well here. Did I text you? I found a Wing Eagle title at Walmart for $18.
the Winged Eagle.
Yeah, it's a toy version, like the AEW World Championship.
That's my favorite one, bro.
I'll text you a photo of it. I have.
There we go.
So, also, I'm very happy. I found finally the AEW action figures. I found 5 out of the 6 at Walmart. Like I stopped by the one in Pleasant.
Who don't you have?
Brandy Rhodes is the only one I don't have.
Man, get rid of the Kenny one and get the Brandy one, dude.
I think I probably could buy that one on ringsidecollectibles.com, but total luck. I was in the neighborhood out by Pleasanton, stopped at the Walmart over there, and sure enough, it was like finding gold. I was like Nicolas Cage in, what's it, National Treasure? What was that movie he was in? But I found the treasure. It was calling my name. Or I should use Indiana Jones. That's a better analogy. I see, like Indiana Jones, I see the treasure. I ran. I grabbed all of it so my hands were full. I'm walking to the counter. Everyone's probably looking at me. Why is this big-ass dude buying a bunch of action figures? Anyone give me a dirty look, I was like, screw you. I've gone to so many Walmarts around the Bay Area for the last couple weeks. I finally found them. I was so happy. I got them home now. And, they'll be out in display as I watch All Out this weekend or next weekend.
The Jericho one comes with the AEW figure, right?
No. So
I mean the title.
No, I think there's 3 versions. The original one or the first one where Tim in his gear. And I think there's a special one with the title. And then there's a bubbly version with the bubble. I bought that one on ringsidecollectibles.com waiting to get that. I don't think the title's with that one. I got to double check, but I think there's 3 versions.
In my closet, for my birthday this year, somebody gave me an AJ Styles WWE champion thing. So I'm like, I need Jericho as the AEW champion, and we need to have a match.
Yeah, I have one of those too. Yeah, it's so cool. So I'm like you said, I mean, I love collecting these figures, but I don't try to buy all of them. I try to just buy the ones of people I really am a big fan of. And the AEW one, it's the first set ever of this company, so I was like, I want to get all of them just for the first set ever of them. So. Anyway, I'm super happy. Follow In The Kliq on Instagram or Facebook and Twitter as well. I put the photo there. You can see all 5 of them sitting on my bed. So, very happy. So, all right, Philip, let's go home for tonight. Very fun episode of AEW Dynamite this week. Super excited for All Out next weekend. And where can all the Kliqsters find you online?
All right, here we go. It's a lot of them. So, follow my personal one at Heel Antwine, Twitter and Instagram. Don't try to find me on Facebook. That's just weird. Heel, Heel, Antwine, ANTWINE. Chikle TV, YouTube, Instagram is CHIKLE TV. My podcast, Complex Conversations, YouTube, Instagram, the Twitter. COMPLEXX, Conversations. And, of course, my main claim to fame is the Bulletcast. The Bulletcast on YouTube, Bulletcast on Twitter, Bulletcast on Instagram. You know how to spell that. It's self-explanatory. And I just got to throw this out there. R.I.P. to Chadwick Boseman, another king we've lost. You know, it's an unbelievable tragedy. Thank you for your work, man. And we know you weren't done here on Earth. You had so much more to give, but you're an inspiration to our people, man. Wakanda forever.
Yeah, man. Very well said. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, I'm very sad as well to hear that Chadwick Boseman passed away this week after battling colon cancer for the last 4 years. And it's just amazing that in that 4-year time span, he made 7 movies, and which included all the Avengers stuff, Captain America, Civil War, the solo Black Panther movie, the Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame. So, God, to go through treatment, chemotherapy, do all that stuff privately, kept it a secret, and made all these movies during that time. Just, God, I can't believe that. So, but yeah, no, he's going to be very much missed. We're all big fans of his work, and God, it's so sad. So just our thoughts and prayers with his family and friends during this tough time. So, I'm definitely going to rewatch Black Panther at some point. Love that movie as well. And plus it takes place in the Bay Area for a good portion of it. So very cool. R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. All right, Philip. And I'm Baby Huey. So please follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey83. And like I said at the top of the show, please subscribe to In The Kliq on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, also on YouTube. And follow us Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at In The Kliq. And on that, let's go home for tonight. And that's the bottom line because Huey said so.